Okay,
All
whatever
right.
you want to do. All right.
Yeah. So let's talk about those early days.
Well, when you're ready.
No, go ahead.
Okay. When Roy was hired, he was always committed to the notion that history wasn't just for the historians or the people in our classes. It was for the public. It was for a broader public.
Roy's vision for the center, Roy Rosenzweig's vision, was very much about breaking down the ivory towers.
Democratizing history, he conceived of that at a time in which you could reach new audiences with information about the past who otherwise might not have access to that.
We all thought he was wasting his time. We thought his scholarship and teaching, that was the coin of the realm.
The idea that you could put these really great images and these really great sources on a CD-ROM instead of a textbook, you could get so much more to the teachers and students who could really make the most use out of it.
And he decides that we need a center. He's the only guy in the center. So he puts on his door, and he had a terrible office, a really interior office, a poster like this. And the poster is Roy Rosenzweig, Center for History and New Media.
But the fact to have that sort of imagination at that time when no one really knew what the internet was going to be or what computers were going to do or anything of that nature, and to have many of those websites still have millions of people who actually visit them every single year.
One of the most important defining moments for the center was September 11th, 2001, when we decided to create a collecting history site around the tragedies of that day. The September 11th Digital Archive has, over 150,000 digital objects in it, and was the Library of Congress's firstborn digital acquisition. And so that was a really important moment for us.
The different projects that the center works on touches on so many different topics, on so many different levels, whether it's geared towards elementary school students, whether it's geared towards high school and maybe even college students.
Not just historians, but also breaking down disciplinary boundaries. So Press Forward works with, we spent a lot of time on that grant working with scientists, helping them take their research and making it publicly accessible on the web.
Sadly, the second defining moment for the center was when Roy died. And of course, we all couldn't believe it and we missed him terribly. But the hardest part for us in many ways was to figure out how to go forward without him. And I think the fact that we have gone forward without Roy and the fact that we've done so incredibly well since that time is a real testament to what he left behind when he died. This is the Manassas Gap Shelter. It's one of the oldest shelters on the Appalachian Trail. It was built in 1933 by the Civilian Conservation Corps. And I often get the question of why do you go to all this trouble to do this kind of digital preservation of historic sites like this beautiful old shelter? The answer is that a lot of these resources are disappearing. I mean, just to give you an example, this stuff right here is an invasive grass that's taking over the Appalachian Trail. And if we weren't fighting it back all the time, before long, it would completely take over this site. These logs are chestnut logs, and they're the last of the chestnut logs in Virginia. If we're going to make these historical resources available for future generations, it's critical that we digitize them now.
Each continuing project that I worked on, that I started on, that I assisted with, it re-emphasized that, we're doing stuff. It's making a difference. It's exciting, it's good, and I want to invest. I want to help students, period.
This is a place where we can think through what history means and who is likely to read it, to use it, to interact with it.
And have access to a model of how to do history responsibly and and well in a way that can transform civic discourse, it can transform public understanding of the past in ways that can make an impact that our traditional scholarship simply cannot.
A lot of DH centers exist. They build a lot of really cool one-off projects. But what the center has done so far is we've built software that has enabled hundreds, thousands of one-off projects, right? We build Zotero, Omeka, Tropy. I want us to keep innovating in that space. And so it's a balance between doing really creative, fun, interesting one-off projects, but also making them sustainable so that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, people can still look at our projects.
Yeah, for a place like Mason to be able to claim to be the best at something is just this invaluable resource, and we built this over time. And so sustaining it is really crucial.
The center today is still that place that Roy created. It's still the place where people sit around a table, have ideas, kick those ideas around, and come up with things that nobody would have thought possible a few years earlier.